my god, we talk about old lore, chat. Don't calm yourselves, chat. Calm. Can we mod start timing people out and they're not calm? Talking about old lore, okay? Talking about 0 point and the 0 shards. I never actually understood at the time why the Imagined Order and Dr. Sloan said this. It's one of the biggest conundrums that have annoyed me all this time.
It's imploding. We've lost control. Save yourself.
If I don't stop this, it could destroy all existence.
You have your orders. Now get out of there.
I'm gonna do.
So John Jones seems to believe that this will destroy all of existence. But Sloan and the Imagined Order are planning a evacuation? Something ain't right. It's also the same thing for the 7 back in Season X. And the whole 7 working with the Imagined Order. It must be done or we use the bridge forever. The only way to do it was from inside the loop itself. If they are right, it will be the end. So they are obviously, we find out in the Foundation comics that was the Imagined Order telling them it will be the end. And we also find out in the night screen, when we get some messages, we find out the Imagined Order goes, our manipulations averted disaster. Our plan can continue. So that's them saying they manipulated something. And I think the manipulation was, and I always say this, was actually them saying that it would end all reality. Is a lie. Or indeed the assumption, if they are correct, it will be the end. Is the Imagined Order a trustworthy narrator? And I think Jonesy, because Sloan's going, just get out of there. We don't need to be there. It will not destroy it. Because otherwise, the Imagined Order are crazy, aren't they? If reality is about to be completely destroyed out of existence, running away probably won't help. But I believe John Jones is half right. I think the 0 point exploding will lead to the destruction of the Omniverse in pieces. I don't know why I'm doing that, I'm so sorry. But obviously, there is a difference between the 0 shards and the 0 point. The point is the Nexus, which we've only ever seen actually once or twice, or 3 times if you can sort of see it in the in-between, but you can't. The only time you actually see the Nexus core is when Galactus has it in his hands. But that is to a point why the Foundation is trying to hold the 0 point together. He's not holding the 0 point together. To be fair, I did say this on Twitter the other week. This seems like not a retcon, but at the time, this may have not been what was intended. So I just want to make that clear. This is maybe not some future telling. Maybe they did know. Maybe it's written down in the lore book that Donald Moss had passed on to Charlie Red. I don't know. But actually, no. Do we see the Nexus core here? That might have been a lie. That might have been. Oh no, that's a lie. We kind of see the Nexus core. Okay, not as clear as the Galactus event, but obviously they are 0 shards. They are completely. So obviously, what we see the Foundation doing here is actually holding the 0 shards and not letting it implode, which he actually does say, doesn't he? Okay, through some deeper research, the Foundation actually says he needs to contain the blast, and he's saying that he can't stop it.
Everything okay up there?
It's not enough. I can't stop it, but I might be able to contain the blast.
So the Foundation says he may be able to contain the blast by sealing it in the spire. Obviously, that's what ends up occurring. But could the Foundation truly handle a blast that was set to destroy the Omniverse? But I truly think now that blast was to seal the 0 shards from going all over the Omniverse and falling into the wrong hands. At this point, we were not introduced to the Imagined Order. No, sorry. We were not introduced to the last reality at this point. We obviously had seen them, but we did not know them by name. And definitely that's something we didn't want them to get a hold of, because that blast would have definitely gotten their attention. But obviously it didn't actually matter because of Raz.
We don't have much time. That's our ticket home. Do not make me regret this.
I would actually argue he didn't regret giving him that. That was actually a vital thing to give him. He did not regret that. Yeah. Yeah, it turns out any chance that Jones gets to throw this thing out, he does. As you can see, he's holding it in his hand. It was a very important thing to give. It was also, I'm pretty sure, used at the Star Wars event as well as actually another one which I can't think of the top of my head. Collision. It was used during Collision to actually rift them back from 616. It was obviously used in the event we're talking about. Foundation definitely did not regret that. I believe it's the same one, yeah. What was the video I did a few days ago where I said, so this, basically what Homer's doing is changing reality, which you can do with a 0 point, which is different from the reality waves and different from the 0 point, from the portals. Oh yeah, because the whole thing about what's at the end of this, and it showed 2 0 points, that was the argument. But yeah, I don't think I correctly clarified what I... So a couple days ago, I did a Twitter video. Yeah, I know, a Twitter video. I actually did pretty well talking about the whole 2 0 point theory, which is being talked about recently because of what we see here in this image. We see the 0 point, but we see a reality wave showing a different reality, where the 0 point is very much present. These are similar reality waves to what we see here, showing a different portal, which we close. So that might be really loud. Which we close. I've always said, since probably around this point or around this period, that I believe this was showing the extra loop. I don't know if that's canon name, but that was the name that was I can't even remember now. But the loop outside of the game. You win a game of Battle Royale and you end up in the island, the storm disappears and you're on the island without the Battle Royale. You get all your memories back of all the looped games, but what you don't get is the memories before you enter the loop. Problem, I know. Unless you win the first game. I think that was what was alluded to during the whole Fortnite Foundation thing. I believe this is what you see outside the loop, because these players are not doing a Battle Royale, and obviously this whole thing here is the Battle Royale. Jonesy's running through people, building, people fighting, people doing stuff, and it's like, what the hell was happening here? But this image just shows, which does show the 0 point, shows a couple of skins almost worshipping the 0 point, because they want to break free and they want to get out, because they remember when they loop memories, and they've probably learned that they need to go through the 0 point in order to escape. And that's why Sloan, obviously, that whole season was like season 5, season before this event, I suppose. This is season 6. Season 5 was saying, don't let them escape the 0 point. We need hunters to hunt them down. They don't need to be breaking through the 0 point. But the reason why I also bring this up as well, and there was a little bit of confusion between reality waves and this, which I may be wrong about this. So reality waves are much more of a burst. Reality waves are much more of a burst, as you can see. Completely changing Jonesy and completely changing at us as well. I never really looked at reality wave as well as I thought it did. A bloody beautiful thing. So yeah, reality waves completely different. Completely changing whole reality. So what we see there isn't a reality wave in that sense. It is reality wave that is like this. I could argue you could call both things reality waves. Or no, this is more of a reality tendril, to be fair. So reality waves and what Homer's doing with the Zero Shard connected to the remote control, I believe have the same kind of properties. So Homer turns this cloud into a donut. And there you go. So I believe that's the same properties. It is bending, folding, changing reality at a push of a button, literally. Which obviously, they come from the same thing. They're both the Zero Shards, essentially, and the 0 point. My opinion, if you've ever watched DC, this event then led us to the whole 0 point thing and Batman 0 point and him trying to escape the loop. He did escape the loop, but then he had to escape the island through the 0 point because that's how you get all your memories back. And that's why I believe it was shown more realistically, because it's not a game. This is where you die, and obviously that's the whole point of the 0 point Foundation. The 0 point Batman comics, you know, if you died outside the loop, you would die, which Fish Chicks unfortunately experienced that. So basically, I also believe as well, I might as well say this, they both exist in the same space, but they should never interact, because I believe they vibrate at different frequencies, which is obviously established in Batman 0 point with all the other realities. The reason I believe the NPCs in the game appear glitch, and the glitch effect you actually see once a reality wave passes on the other, you see when it comes, It's almost like a computer effect, actually. How can we slow this down? So it comes, 0 point energy is released. Almost looks like sound waves, computer coding. It kind of looks like that. It gives that impression. But when it hits the player, you see this glitch effect, which all appears on NPCs. And the reason why that is they're not inside the loop. They're outside the loop. They're somehow glitching in. That's what I've always believed, and that makes the most sense in my opinion. Because they shouldn't be able to talk to us. But they do. So, that's why I've always believed they appear glitched. Says I need to contain the blast. So even the Foundation knew it wouldn't end reality if it blew. Because why would you contain the blast?
That's the last one!
So actually, you could argue it's not a retcon, and that was always intended not to let the Zero Shards break off, because this was obviously a few seasons past when Galactus happened, which did break off a bit of the 0 point.
I think we got it!
But I might be able to contain the blast.
See, if the 0 point blast, what effectively would happen to what everyone was saying, the universe would come to like an abrupt end. But obviously that isn't the case, because if you can contain the blast, what he wanted to contain was the Zero Shards from splitting everywhere. Arguably, you could have always intended this was the intention. This is basically what the Foundation prevented at this point. The Zero Shards scattering everywhere.
I will find you.
But obviously there he is trying to like keep the Zero Shards together. That's an insane full circle moment when we have him trying to stop the 0 point from breaking apart in season 6 in OG. He makes it go into shards. That's why he went back in time to OG. What are you saying? Why Jones? No, but Jones went back to OG and then broke it into shards. So when the 0 point petrifies itself after it got chrome, going back to our point, that's where we started, I think. So Jones travels back to OG, extracts the energy from the 0 point back in the past, brings it forward to to chapter 4, ignites the 0 point, Big Bang happens again, but that's when the shards break on the 0 point, and that's why we're now chasing after them. So you say, what was these shards essentially we see in the ground? Well, I guess we have to presume they're 0 point crystals as well, but I guess nothing happened and it didn't completely explode and go everywhere, because I guess it was not contained like this, but obviously that was because of Galactus. So yeah, so essentially, the Foundation was not trying to prevent the end of the universe, because I don't think the end of the universe would have happened, whatever happened here, because the IO was going to go. They were just going to leave. So essentially what was going to happen is the Zero Shards were going to fly everywhere. Look, I know that's retrospectively, and I hate looking at things that happened 5 years ago retrospectively, but then you do see the Foundation trying to keep the shards together. So I think that's now a good way to look at it. Retrospectively, 7 years later, wherever long ago this was, to saying that he was actually trying to keep the Zero Shards from escaping everywhere and falling into the wrong hands. I don't know. Well, let me know down in the comments below, because this may be a video. So, yeah, GG's. Thanks for watching. Bye!